Hey everyone, it's Steve from Steve 87th Puget Sound and Pacific Railroad. I haven't posted anything in a little while, but that's because I've been a little busy. I was off spending a little bit of time over a nice quality vacation over on the Florida coast on the Atlantic Ocean. Went down and saw this Kennedy Space Center, with all the rockets and people and stuff like that. So that was kind of fun. Hadn't been there in quite a few years. Then it was down over to Daytona Beach, where we went out to the beach side for a little bit of time, watching the waves and the surf on the beach, and took a little detour and spent a little bit of time at the Daytona International Speedway. Let me tell you something. I am looking forward to one day doing a model with the Daytona Speedway in it. I have a bunch of 1/87 scale cars from NASCAR, and I'd like to try to make a scene of it. And I got a lot of pictures and all that at Daytona that was going to make that really easy to do. So that was a lot of fun too, and really interesting to see how the raceway works. So when you're that far over to that side of the coast, where else are you going to do but spend some time at, yep, you guessed it, Walt Disney World. Spent some time with my wife's family, where we did most of the parks and stayed on park property for the couple of days. My sister-in-law lent us our nephew for the 4 days that we were there, and we started off the week by going off over to Epcot, where of course we had to meet some princesses. And for some reason, my nephew took a real liking to Cinderella. Then went over to Hollywood, spent some time with some stormtroopers, where my nephew got to take some Jedi training and actually fight Darth Vader, which you can't see in this picture, but he actually landed a blow on him while they were doing the fight scene here. So that was kind of fun to see, and he enjoyed that a lot. And the next day we were over at the safari, where of course, at least we finally met Mickey. So we hung out and had lunch with Mickey Mouse at the safari, along with Donald and some other friends. And our final day was spent at the Magic Kingdom. I thought that this was an appropriate picture to show because there is no way to save money at Disneyland. There's ways to avoid saving money, but you don't save it. But, that's not what it's all about. It's about having fun and good times, and we did. We went on some rides, ate some of Mickey's head for good times, bought some different things, and had dinner with Pooh and Tigger too. So it was fun staying on property, having a nephew around for a couple of days, and actually buying the food plan at Disney was a real lifesaver and made for a really, really good time, and got to see lots of characters. So back to model railroading. Well, since I was gone for so long, and then when I got back I got sick for a little while, I didn't really have a whole lot of time for model railroading. But while I was down in Florida, I did have time to stop at a couple of hobby shops. So here's a couple of recommendations if you happen to find yourself in the Orlando and Space Coast area. One of the places I found was TRF Trains and M&T Hobbies. It was a really neat little hobby shop, had actually all the scales in it, and the pricing was pretty good. I'll show you some of the stuff that I got later. I'll set it all out because I was actually able to, even though you're sick, you're still able to go buy things. But this was a great little find of a hobby shop, and I would recommend it for anybody who had went down there. So here's the address and all that. So if you're on the coast in Melbourne, this is a nice one to stop. It's not that far from the Kennedy Space Center. The other shop that I went to, which is actually a kind of a cool place to go to, especially for us YouTube people. It's called Colonial Photo and Hobby, and it's actually in Orlando, Florida. One of the neat things about this place is it was really good selection of trains and so forth, and even had some regular standard models. But the other thing is the other entire half of the store was all about photography and videos. They had all kinds of accessories, including bags and light booths and light curtains, and very, very knowledgeable. If you're going to get more serious into doing the YouTube channel and want some information and all that, they're really, really a good source to go to. So it was a fun place. They were very helpful, and their prices were really good. The one thing that I kind of didn't get, because I knew Disney was coming up after this, they had some really good prices on some engines, and I decided not to get one while I was there. I got a few other things while I was there, but again, really good to go find out about trains and then turn around and go over to the other side and get all kinds of things and accessories for your cameras and learn about how to use a camera better and so forth. So again, 2 places to stop while you're down there on the coast visiting Disney World. Okay, so I wanted to finish this video off with some of the stuff that I got. So this is my birthday haul. I got the Modern Travel Center, some grain elevators that I need, and a power. And then I got a Manitou Jeep 20. I got this in Florida while I was there. A U-Haul trailer, a Pods trailer, and this is a really interesting little Matchbox car that I saw, which is probably right around HO scale, but it's one of those tree digging matchboxes where the truck comes in, digs a big hole, drops your tree in and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, you know, fix that up a little bit, put some real tires on it and all. That'll look like a pretty good truck. And then from Canada, we got a couple of Volvos, a station wagon and a 4-door. This nice little Mini Metals fire department truck, which is going to work good for me. Another John Deere tractor. I got some scratch building supplies, some wall panels and some roofs for some metal buildings, some doors, a couple of electrical things. And then from Tichy Trains, I found that they had a open working platform, and then they also had ladders and stairs, the kind of round cage ladder that you find on the side of a building. We'll talk about that in a minute. Some stuff for some pickup trucks. And then, to finish off some of my downtown stuff, I found the small town window dressings with a couple of different stores on them and banks and things like that I'll be able to put in my buildings that are on Main Street and kind of finish those off finally. I've also been doing some work on some eBay stashes. After a little bit more research on my railroad, I found out that they actually have one of the cranes that Walters has sold that's actually powered. It looks really gnarly, so that's going to be a weathering job. The Genesee and Wyoming car that I have here, basically I got this one because that's my parent railroad for the Puget Sound and Pacific now. I also picked up a Union Pacific Pacific Fruit Express car, which I'm going to need to be able to deliver fruits and stuff like that to the bakery in downtown. And now a little layout update. While I was out looking around at different hobby shops, I found this 1/16 inch wide ultra stripe white tape and yellow tape. So I decided, let's see what I can do. In the past, I've used pens to do my road. I've tried to use some of the stripings. So I decided, let's see what this tape comes out to be. So having finished my roads, I came in and decided to do the taping job. So the cool thing about this tape is once you put it down, you have to burnish it down a little bit, get it down pretty good. But then in order for it to hold in place, you have to heat it and melt it into the area for a little bit. So right now you can see it's really kind of bright. That's fine. The road's got to be weathered anyway. So that's one of the things. But I'm not 100% sold on the tape yet. It really has a problem going around the corners. As you can see over here, I've tried to do it a couple of times and it doesn't like to turn very well. So we're going to see how that works. But I think it's going to work really well going up and over into the bridge to complete that section off. Now, one of the things that I did come up with, and I'm sure ContainerMan68 will yell at me for this, you can see that my road over here is a little narrow. Two full-size trucks just barely pass one another. The lane's about 9'6", almost 10 feet across on each one of them. So that's made me come up and decide that I'm going to have to do some more scenicking in this area. What's going to happen here is we're actually going to widen the road. So that's why the construction vehicles haven't left yet. They're going to come back and we're going to wind up having a scene where they're actually widening the road and putting a bigger shoulder on this so that the trucks can actually make the turns. Okay, so that's kind of it on the layout for right now, but there was one other thing that I did. While I was working over on this side with the vacuum cleaner and all, I kept hitting the side of my blue wall board that I'm using for my backdrop, and I decided, you know what, I really need to put some sort of fascia on. So I've decided to start putting a fascia on the side of my layout here. So one of the things that you'll notice is it's black, right? And it's very black. But here you can see, hey, that's all corrugated. I decided to do something different. And it's kind of funny because one of the shows was talking about how can we make things cheaper for making the models and all that. Well, I found something that I kind of like, which is kind of easy to work with for the side flashing. And that's basically a plastic corrugated sheet. What's nice about this, it costs like $1.49 for a poster size sheet. You can come up, it's easy to cut and to put on. You can see that I can do it right to size, whatever size I want to cut it to. And the other nice thing about this is the way that I actually put it on. So I actually fastened this to my table, which is 1x4, by using carpet tape, double stick carpet tape. And then, because there was such a little bit of a gap and I wanted a little bit more strength, I came up and used some vinyl adhesive caulk between what was the layout and what is the straight piece of the fascia. The other nice thing about this is when I'm doing the fascia, all I need is a hobby knife. And I can make all the cuts and go to the terrains and cover anything that I want to. So that made it kind of really easy in this area where the river was, and also over in the section that goes up to the side of the hill, back over in that area. So why did I buy all that other stuff, the plastic and all? Well, I found out that I need to do something in here to supply my rocks and all that to my concrete plant. So I'm fortunate in that my work has these really thick tubes of cardboard. The only problem is I need to put a couple of them together, and then obviously they need to have an elevator to bring the stuff up from the cars that are going to be down here that'll dump everything, and then a conveyor that'll go over to this side to dump into the plant. So I've got a bunch of these tubes. I'm going to put them together, and that's what the ladders and the walkways are for. Put a conveyor belt across them, and then those will actually make up where the aggregate's going to go. So that's going to be one of my next projects that I get. My thought on how I'm going to get rid of these and make these more concrete is I'm actually going to wrap them with plaster cloth, spread out the plaster cloth as easy as possible, and then that should give it the concrete look that I want. So as you can see, lots of stuff has been going on. I was actually hoping to make a turn lane there. That's not going to happen, so we're going to have to widen that. So this whole section of road is going to be widened. But that's going to be more of a ongoing project rather than a finish up. So that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll get you another video when I've got some more things to show you. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Take it easy.